as he goes for win number 3 here at Atlanta. Jim?
Ty Dillon is completely focused on tonight's race, and that's not the easiest thing to do. You see, the younger Dillon brother will make his Sprint Cup debut here tomorrow night. Ty tells us it's a huge advantage to run both series, says that slows down the Nationwide car a little bit in his brain. We will see if slow equals fast tonight, Alan.
All right, Jim, thanks. So the tight Nationwide Series championship fight with now 10 races to go in the season, including tonight. This racetrack measures 1.54 miles around. 300 miles means the scheduled distance is 195 laps. And yes, just the 4 times you can change tires. It'll be a big deal. Chase Elliott, the Georgia homestader, in that blue and gold Napa number 9, leading the field to the start with Kyle Larson alongside. That's Kenseth in the 20, looking 3 wide to the bottom as Kyle Busch goes for a little wiggle in the 54.
Didn't get a very good start right there on the straightaway, and then he's still struggling with the car handling.
Yeah, he may have spun the tires just a little bit there, and that's not good when you get down into the corners either. So I'm sure that he'll get things headed in the right direction here shortly.
For 5th place, Elliott Sadler down low, Kyle Busch up high, 11 and 54.
One thing, we talk about this a lot during these nationwide races, is they did all of their practicing during the daylight, and it was really hot here, and they're seeing a different racetrack. Every driver that I talked with said that over the last few years, this racetrack has got it much freer, which means the cars are going to be looser as they get into the night portion of this race.
Another Georgia homestader there in the picture, 98, the blue and white car, David Reagan. Looking to have a good run in front of his family and friends.
I already see something right there I want to watch for, and that's that 5 car in his groove, the line that he runs. He's running so low. We saw sparks flying off the left front in the corners. He puts that car, I mean, not on the yellow line, he puts it below the yellow line most of the times here, and he figures out a way to make that work. And I think that's one of his keys to success at this track.
Yeah, and I don't think that the early part of this race is going to be where their success is going to be, and we've seen that in years past here, that it takes him up through, they get through that first cycle of pit stops before Kevin Harvick really comes to life. We have a battle for second here.
Joey Logano, 22, Kyle Larson, 42. Now, a lot of folks were talking about Kyle Larson coming here to Atlanta, just like they talked about Larson at Bristol a week ago. A track where a driver has to hunt grooves and run up by the wall sometimes seems to suit Larson's abilities well, just like the Auto Club Speedway out in Southern California, where he won earlier this year in late March.
He has, and we know that Kyle Larson likes to get up there. I've talked to him about that. The thing that you see with these nationwide cars, though, as we've seen last few years, you see Kyle Busch, and we talk about Kevin Harvick, even though Kyle has not won here in a nationwide car. The bottom is the faster way around with these lower horsepower nationwide cars that they have. So we'll see how that top does work out, especially as they get some laps on the tires.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think after they run and slow down and the track gives up grip and the tires go away, you'll see that outside lane come in a little bit. But there's only really 2 spots that are about a foot wide that have a little extra grip. It's that right on the bottom where you see Kenseth's, the left front tire, and all the way up within a foot of the wall. The rest of it is just completely worn out. It doesn't matter where you run on that. It's just where does your car like to be?
So Matt Kenseth up to 3rd around Larson. Here's 5th. Kyle Busch by Elliott Sadler to pick up that spot, and Kevin Harvick just behind Sadler, next in line in 7th. He's picked up a couple of positions in the last couple of laps in that 5.
I think part of the success that this 5 car has here is something that they do. A lot of it has to do with the way Kevin Harvick drives this racetrack. There's many people, you can see the sparks flying again from a little loose right there. But it's something to do with the air pressure that they run too, with their spring combination. But Kevin wanting to run down there to get his car to do that, they have to do some different things. And we don't see the blazing speed a lot of times out of it, but it's certainly in these longer runs, he is the man to beat.
Yeah, that's a great shot right there. You can see that left front below that yellow line, right at the seam of the apron and the racetrack banking. And it's the one thing about that particular line that he runs is that it does wear on that splitter. And he keeps doing that all night long. he could actually have a little problem. We've seen it before where that can cause a little problem. I'm sure he's aware of it and probably has the car adjusted for it. But still see some sparks flying.
18-year-old Chase Elliott started on pole, out in front early in his first ever NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Reminder while you watch the Great Clips 300 that NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced coverage tonight from here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We are just underway. Chase Elliott has led all of the laps so far. Matt Kenseth is up to second with Kyle Larson closing in on them, regaining a little bit of ground lost earlier. Larson now back up to third. Joey Logano down to fourth. Kevin Harvick has just passed Kyle Busch to move up to fifth position.
That's what I love about this racetrack when the tires give up like this. You have some cars that maybe strike out there like the 9 car has early in the race. And then you got other guys that have a little different setup. Maybe that's a little more forgiving on the tires. And then they start coming later in the run. I'm seeing that a little bit out of Larson. I think it has a little bit to do with his line. Like we said, his high line may be coming in here at the later part of this particular run. Well, I say later part. It's 14 laps. That is a long time with tires.
It is, yes, I promise you.
I think that was Brian Scott we had just in the top of the frame there with the sideways slide off of turn number 4, but gathered it up. You mentioned, DJ, about all the practice during the day and the race here at night. Sometimes that can lead to things arising with your chassis setup that you weren't expecting, that you made that educated guess on, like maybe the car bouncing off the racetrack a little too hard for the driver's control. Kyle Busch, we caught this on video just a little while ago from the 54 car. Listen.
Yeah, you can hear the car bottoming out a little bit on either side skirts or the front splitter. You can hear it right there, and when the tire pressures are low, that's even worse. Well, he's into the wall a little bit right there. I think he touched it. Dave, he looks like he's struggling with that car a little bit.
He really is right now, Andy, and here's what he had to say to the team on the radio.
Oh, boy. Long night ahead of us. What did he say? That long night ahead. Way too loose. Can't hold the line with the rear.
And the unfortunate thing is it kind of backs up what Adam Stevens, his crew chief, told me about practice. He said, Kyle said the car was a little bit down on speed, and they were unhappy with the balance. Now, they didn't have a lot of laps to work on it like they'd like to in traffic, in practice. So he said it's a little bit of an unknown going in here. Not really happy so far.
So Kyle Busch back to 6th position, 5 seconds almost behind the race leader Chase Elliott. And did he catch the wall off turn 2 a second ago?
Well, it sure looked like it. Oh yeah, he laid a black mark on a couple of them.
Yeah, and as a driver, you're going to challenge that. You pretty much have to. You know that there's very, very little room for error right there. And when you're chasing the back end around, that's really the part of the racetrack you almost have to go up to, but it's so difficult to make that happen. And you're going to see that off of turns 2 and 4, especially off of 4 as the laps get more on the tires, and you're just going to fight the car. The corner really flattens out. The banking goes away from you, and you can find yourself with a real handful.
It looks like the tide turned for Kyle Larson. Now he's going backwards. Joe Logano and Kevin Harvick now going forward.
But the fun part there, through turns 1 and 2, 3 different lines available.
And I think what you're seeing right here maybe are a couple of drivers with a little more experience here. I think when I saw Kyle Larson coming back, you wondered how long or how hard he was driving that car to make that happen. And even though you're not turning the wheel up there as much up against the wall, to drive it that hard and to be making up that much time, you really have to be. That car is really, really loose right now.
I mean, he is, sliding that car all the way through the corner. Now, I mean, this is drifting at 180 miles an hour. Once, twice. He's not finished yet. I think he's going to do it again.
Yeah, it makes you so mad to see that 5 car in front of you, Kevin Harvick, down there, lap after lap after lap.
We'll work on it here.
It barely ever gets out of shape. You see Harvick do that. And you go down there one time, and you're just so out of control, you're fortunate you didn't crash.
Joey Logano seems to have found some speed in this 22 now. Their second place changing hands as he goes by Matt Kenseth.
He borrowed that groove of Harvick. See, he's got that left front right down on that line.
I think it has to do with the talk that I had to him about saving his tires at the beginning.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was it.
That's why I let those guys go early.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Car you saw coming on to the pit lane was a 72 of John Jackson, and he has gone to the garage with that car. ESPN's live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series tonight on a Saturday night of Labor Day weekend from Atlanta Motor Speedway. A big, fast mile-and-a-half track that has one of the older paved surfaces on the circuit. That means it grinds up the tires, the cars slip and slide, and we love it because it gives us great racing to watch. Drivers hanging on and really wheeling these cars at high speeds, approaching, in this case, in this series, 190 miles an hour. There's your leader, Chase Elliott. Started on pole, the young 18-year-old from Georgia making his first start here. Already a three-time winner this season. He's led every lap so far, but he's got Joey Logano trying to close in on him for the lead.
And just to give you an example of what you were talking about, how much these cars slow down, and Andy's been pointing it out. Chase Elliott, from his fastest lap since the start of this race, has lost 2 seconds to this point in 24 laps.
Whereas some other tracks we see, they'll run the same speed,
Yeah.
lap after lap after lap after lap. And the racing very, very different looking than it'll be throughout the night here tonight. Just 25 laps in, just underway here in Atlanta. Labor Day weekend, always a huge weekend in motorsports. This no exception. Tonight, the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Tomorrow, we begin our coverage of the Chevy Performance U.S. Nationals. Biggest race in the NHRA season. Qualifying tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, with final eliminations on Monday, Labor Day, starting at noon Eastern on ESPN2. Don't forget the NASCAR Sprint Cup race here on Sunday night, the Oral-B USA 500. Kevin Harvick on pole, 7 Eastern on ESPN. Tomorrow night, a little prime time Sunday racing. And then this NASCAR Nationwide Series moves on to Richmond, Virginia. A little short track action next Friday night, 7 Eastern here on ESPN2. The race leader, 9, Chase Elliott. Second place, 22, Joey Logano. With a lap car in between, and then Kevin Harvick closing quickly from third as we run now 31 laps without a yellow flag, defying the normal trend in recent years here to have a caution in the first 15 laps or so here in Atlanta. Ryan Reed 16, Dakota Armstrong 43, both going a lap down. That will put the 22nd and 21st place cars down one circuit. So I gave you the top three. Kyle Larson runs fourth, Kyle Busch fifth, Matt Kenseth in that 20 has slipped back to sixth place in these last few laps, Jim.
Well, that's right, Alan. You guys have been talking about tires. They are worrying Matt Kenseth right now. He radioed in about 5 or 6 laps ago and said he's got no lateral grip. It feels like the rear tires are tearing apart. Keep in mind that when he said that, he was running second. As you said, he's now sixth, proving the tire management, even for a veteran like Kenseth, is easier said than done.
Yeah, Jim, you know the reason they feel like that is because they are. The tires are really, it really just chews the tires up on the car. And we're looking at the lap time, and the tire degradation is really steep. I mean, we're talking about more than 2 seconds slower now per lap than they were when we started the race.
Second place change in hands. Harvick by Logano up to the number 2 spot. Degradation.
Sorry, Alan, I used a big word on you there.
I know it, huh? Wasn't sure where you came up with that term. If you were,
I noticed Matt.
I've been watching too many Formula One races.
spending time with the dictionary or what?
Yeah, I noticed Matt used a little different term, and that's he was talking in driver's terms.
Well, you can see the 9 car, Chase Elliott now. That thing's moving around visibly. You can just see how much grip has gone away.
But you know, Andy, you made mention of something during the break a minute ago about how this young man has done the most terrific job on the most difficult tracks for the driver this season.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most is he's shown his talent everywhere, but you go to these tough surfaces like Texas, Atlanta, Darlington, and he's won those other 2, and he might win here tonight. These are tough. Look at that. I mean, you have to wheel a car around here. He's got a guy coming now that he might be able to learn something from, though. Harvick's going to be able